Being a consultant and working for CAT, like these were like two extremely strenuous stuff. I decided that there are only two things that I'm going to do in my entire day. First is my job, and second is my CAT preparation. Nothing else. No
Okay.
sports, nothing else. For those 4 to 5 months, only these two agendas were there. If I have to keep only one thing in
Yeah.
my CAT preparation, I will just keep the mock test. It's that important. I can remove, let's suppose, the sectional preparation time. I can remove the individual question or individual set that I was doing. But mock test is something that you cannot do without it. For each of the question, I gave it a difficulty benchmark, basically easy, medium, and difficult. Now, over a period of time, let's suppose if you have given like 10, 12 or more mock tests, there would be a pattern actually. Easy and medium, you are mostly able to do it. Hard on these topics, if it comes, you won't be able to do it.
What were the calls that you had?
Except Ahmedabad and Bangalore, I had all the calls. So,
Okay.
and I gave interview for all of them as well.
The idea behind the series is that you can learn from the guests and from about their exam strategies, about their interview experiences, summer placements, life on campus, and make the most of it. So for our episode today, we have with us Amit Ranjan from IIM Calcutta's class of 2023. Hello, Amit, and welcome to the episode. Thank you so much for doing this.
Hi, Debayan. Thanks a lot for inviting me to this show.
So, Amit, before we start off, why don't you tell the viewers something about yourself?
Okay, let me start with the basics in the sense that I recently graduated from IIM Calcutta. I would be soon joining Boston Consulting Group. And prior to IIM Calcutta, I was working with a consulting firm called Octis Advisors for close to 3 years. I've worked across India and Philippines in the construction, power, and infrastructure sector. And during my undergraduate days, which I spent at IIT Kanpur, apart from academics, I held various leadership positions and I went on to contributing to the campus there. Outside work, I'm an aviation enthusiast and I like following Formula One as of now.
So, Amit, take a IIT Kanpur done, then you worked as a consultant. Then what made you decide to go for an MBA?
So my reason was quite practical in the sense that I could sense the disparity that creeps in between a MBA and a non-MBA candidate after he has worked for, let's say, 2 or 3 years into the industry. Being a consultant, I used to work with people who were from IIT and who were also from, let's say, IIMs. What I witnessed, like experienced firsthand, was that there is a disparity both in terms of pay and also in terms of the career advancement that a company can provide you. This was the core reason why I decided ki, okay, this is something I want to have in my life. It's good to have an MBA so that it gives you an edge. And at the later point of time in my future, I do not have a regret of not having an MBA, and it does not stops me from making a career advancement in that. So career advancement was my core why I started, basically why I went for an MBA.
On InsideIIM, we have a very popular series called the Cat Topper series, where we feature in people such as yourself, Amit, who have scored well on the Cat and have made use of some of the best B schools in the country.
Mhm.
So I think this segment is going to be extremely helpful for the aspirants writing Cat this year or in the near future. Amit, what was your Cat percentile on Cat 2020?
So I scored a 99.68 in CAT 2020.
So, Amit, being a working professional, how difficult was it for you to manage time and prepare for CAT?
Being a consultant and working for CAT, like these were like two extremely strenuous stuff. It's like what I did was like I tried to segregate roughly about 2 to 3 hours every day. And I decided that there are only two things that I'm going to do in my entire day. First is my job, and second is my CAT preparation. Nothing else. No
Okay.
sports, nothing else. For those 4 to 5 months, only these two agendas were there. Whenever my day ended, I mean, whenever actually I could get 1 hour slots in between my schedule while I was working, I'll just slot in my CAT schedule.
Okay.
This is what I used to do during the weekdays. At 2 to 3 hours, if I'm able to get, great. There were days I would not be able to get it, but someday they where I would be slightly freer, I would try to compensate on that. On the weekends is where I used to push my maximum. Weekends were first of all like reserved all for tests. Like I will give 1 to 2 mock tests on Saturdays and on Sundays. The next 3 to 6 hours will again go on analyzing those mock tests, what all mistakes I have done, what all I could have improved, and prepare a list of the learnings that I have from my weekend master. Now, whatever I prepared from my weekend, I will now try to implement it over the weekdays again. by taking out 2 to 3 hours. Now, this is very crucial that you prioritize. Many people like me would not get sufficient time to prepare for CAT. So they will have to prioritize not more than three things. It's like their job, CAT preparation, and possibly you can take one more things. Anything more than that, it would be like a chaos. It would be a mayhem and very difficult to what I should prioritize. If you have got, let's suppose if you do not have a third thing, I would say give it all to your CAT preparation. The more, the better in my case.
Amit, do you mind sharing the resources that you used during your preparation?
I actually was in touch with one of my close friend was actually in Dream Team.
Okay.
So he gave me like he was my source of all the resources. Apart
Okay.
from that, it's like it's always good to have someone close to you in the Dream Team because they are in touch with other people. They have the know-how of all the material resources that they have. So I would like really thankful to that person, my friend, very still a very close friend of mine, and he was the one who provided me with most of the material. Apart from this, I would say IMS material is really good. I really think I found their material to be quite helpful. And I used to do their not just mock test, but also their sectional test. And I believe it's like it used to cover like topic by topic. So though this thing, like some material from my friends and material from IMS was, I would say, really great for me.
Just out of curiosity, Amit, how many mock tests did you write, if you remember?
Like my preparation was of 4 months, so
Yeah.
roughly about 16 to 18 weekends, and subtract 3 weekends that I lost due to COVID, so into two. So that's roughly about 20-25 odd mock tests, not more than that.
According to you, how important were these mock tests in your journey to ace the cat or maybe bell the cat?
If I have to keep only one thing in
Yeah.
my CAT preparation, I will just keep the mock test. It's that important. I can remove, let's suppose, the sectional preparation time. I can remove the individual question or individual set that I was doing. But mock test is something that you cannot do without it. Even when I have to give up, basically, when some junior person consult with me, with a friend of mine or junior from my college consult me about CAT preparation, I always tell him, bro, mock test is the quintessential. You have to do that. The second aspect about the mock test is like you need to analyze what you are learning, where you are going wrong. It's not just giving, but it's like do analyze your mock test. That takes a significant amount of time, and it's like draw a plan how you are going to improve upon that.
So that brings to my next question. How does one actually analyze a mock test? So we keep on reading. I mean, on InsideIIM, almost everyone has written that ki aap mock test 2 घंटे का likho, then you
Hmm.
spend 4 hours or maybe 6 hours to analyze that mock test. But how do you
Mhm.
actually analyze a mock test so that and ensure that in the next mock test you're not repeating those mistakes? So how do you exactly do that?
What I did from my side was I segregated obviously in the first into three parts. First one being VARC, the second one being DLR, and the third one being quant. Even within these basically in these section, I further subcategorized into like 5 or 6 of them. For quant, it could be modern number system, and like that. For each of the question, I gave it a difficulty benchmark, basically easy, medium, and difficult. So 20 cross 3, roughly about, I had about 60 categories. This is how I analyze. It's like I found it easier because 20 categories was something I believe was easier for me to remember. Now, whenever I did those, like gave a mock test, I tried to analyze where these questions fall under the purview. And that's what I started seeing a trend. Okay, maybe my modern number is this a little bit lacking. I need to basically brush this up. I need to go possibly back to the sectional of this modern number and pick up the medium and hard. I am able to do the easy part. I'm not able to do the medium and hard part. So I'll just go back for those topics and then try to do that. Now, over a period of time, let's suppose if you have given like 10, 12 or more mock tests, there would be a pattern actually. You will start seeing a pattern ki, okay, easy and medium you are mostly able to do it. Hard on these topics, if it comes, you won't be able to do it. This is one aspect. The second aspect is the time management. It's like if you learn how to manage the time. Let's suppose my simple strategy was that I will just pick up this all the easy questions first and try to do it as much as possible. And one thing I did was like, let's suppose even if I get stuck up in an easy question, I would just leave it for that particular point of time. I will come back to it later if I'm, let's suppose, not able to do that even that easy question within 2 minutes or 3 minutes for coin. So I will just leave that for the timing and then come back and then have another attempt for with that question along with the set of medium question that I left in the first attempt. So this was like my routine in there.
So Amit, आपका CAT हो गया, right? You have a 99.68 percentile. So what were the calls that you had?
Except Ahmedabad and Bangalore, I had all the calls. So,
Okay.
and I gave interview for all of them as well.
After receiving the calls, so how did you prepare for these interviews?
For it's like I was going actually started through my consulting experience, like how I used to prepare for my consulting experience. I what I did was I simultaneously I was also reading more about the general knowledge, business knowledge, and I was trying to brush up what I had in myself. I wrote a story of my life. Let's suppose it was roughly about a 10 pages long document just to know about myself, like what I have done in my life. So I broke it down into various phases. I wrote my entire story of my life so that I have like if the interviewer asks what did I learn from various phases in my life, I try to do that. Now, once I had the story of my life, it was easier for me to answer the common HR question. It's like, what did I learn? Let's suppose, what are something that I need to improve upon? What is something where I showed leadership? All that came from the story of my life, which I wrote. Now, this was something initially that I did. Simultaneously, I was reading more about the GK. I would say keep reading FinShots, keep reading the Ken if you have access to that. I mean, these are great sources, in my opinion, for like initiate a talk. I mean, in my opinion, I think much more than that. It's like if you have general sense of knowledge, if you know about your resume well, and just be prepared with your hobby because I for me they ask me that a lot. It's like they asked me about aviation when I mentioned aviation enthusiasm. They even gave some of the guesstimates. I was prepared for that because I prepared for my hobbies which I mentioned. So I kept it genuine, and that's what how it turned out.
So, Amit, how is a typical IIM Calcutta interview different from a Lucknow, Kozhikode, or an Indore interview?
I would say it's in the terms of quant expectation. So the amount of question that I was asked in IIM Calcutta interview, basically maths question that I was asked was significantly higher if I have to compare it with, let's suppose, Lucknow. So in Lucknow, I was only asked two questions related to maths. In Shillong, I was asked starting few questions. In the CAP also, it was more about aviation, a couple of questions on philosophy and maths. But I have been asked at least 6 to 8 questions on maths during my IIM Calcutta interview. They asked me about matrices, they asked me about determinants, its practical implications, and they asked me about matrix transformation. So the questions related to these were like quite maths heavy, and they wanted to like gauge whether I'm able to understand these class 12 concept in real life as or not. So in that sense, I would say they have been like for me at least they have been quite maths heavy, and it's better to be prepared. Like if you're going for an IMC interview, better to be prepared with maths, and they will grill you on maths question. It's quite possible.
My last question to you for this segment. So, what would be your advice to your juniors who are appearing for the MBA admissions interviews this year?
So the first thing I would like to say, it's like you get to know yourself. It's like I have seen a lot of candidates who make the mistake and they do not remember what they have done in the past, why they did it. I would ask them, like urge them just to go about, write your entire life, write your decision, the key decision that you took in your life and why. Just give a truth, like a very true. Let's suppose even if it was out of selfishness, just write, I took this decision out of selfishness, but write a complete story. It's like it will just give you a picture. Once you are trying to basically build up upon that, you can connect with various instances in your life. Okay, this is where I did, and this is for my decision making. The same decision making can be seen in another phase in my life for another, let's suppose another decision that I took. Same for, let's suppose, a couple of years down the line. This is something that you will try to visualize and like you will be able to see inside, and then it will give you an insight. It's like what kind of decision that you have been taking in your life, and then you can that's something that you can put it in front of the interviewer audience. Getting to know this thing is very important. I've seen like my interaction with some of the juniors have made me realize that like many of them do not do that. Many of them just try to write as short paragraphs as possible, but I would say write possibly as long as you can. Take one day if it is possible, but write your entire story. Write all the major decisions you have taken, who influenced the decision, what was your decision, what were you thinking, what were you doing that day. Just write that. Just write that. It will help you. For sure, it will help you. It like your interview HR question, all those questions will just be at your top of your mind, and it will come like a click if you are able to do that.
You have shared your CAT preparation strategy, then how you prepared for your interviews and how you landed at IIM Calcutta. So
Mhm.
now, if I have to ask you, how was your life at IIM Calcutta?
I would say when I entered IIM Calcutta, I had a couple of things in my mind. The first one, foremost, was learning. It's like I'm just saying learning because I was putting at a pedestal even above placements. So I kept okay, placements are possibly something I can get, and I'm not keeping at that high placement. The first one was learning. Second one, which I had in my mind, was getting into the SEMS cohort, basically the only program which IIM Calcutta offers in India. Okay, and third was like I will in some way try to give back to the basically the IIM Calcutta campus. I was able to achieve all these. For me, the learning part was immense. It's like I try to stay like well in academics. I try to contribute. I contributed in the class through class participation, CP, and everything. So I like that part a lot because it was enrich. It was an enriching experience for me. The case studies that we studied were actually really great. These were some really new material which we were reading, and we had to build upon that. We had to discuss all those things, so it gave me a much wider perspective.
Well, IIM Calcutta being one of India's best B schools, so what was the level of competitiveness on campus?
I mean, it was quite competitive, I would say. It's like the competition is quite intense, be it for, let's suppose, vying for a placement seat, vying for a seat in a company of repute. So all these things entailed competition. Even, let's suppose, cracking the on-campus round for case competition. So these were not something easy to come by. You had to actually work for that. And placements are like the immense epitome where you need to perform, you need to show, and you need to prepare well for all those things. So the competition exists, and it's not that chill. I would say it's still, I would say, chill, but for all these things, placement related activities, you have to compete to be there.
So, Amit, my last question to you on the campus life at IIM Calcutta. So, what would be your advice to your juniors who would be joining IIM Calcutta or any aspirant vying for a seat at IIM Calcutta?
What I would say is like try to figure out what exactly do you want to achieve. So often in life we do not have goals, and it you might feel that your life is going a little rudderless. And so those short-term goals, let's suppose the goals that you want to achieve in the span of 1 to 2 years while you're during a stay at IMC is very important to keep you guiding, let's suppose, and also in some sense provide meaning to your life during those 2 years. Let's suppose you want to do something which you wanted to do from the like let's suppose in the past, and is something you wanted to explore also. Just be prepared, like you have formulated, okay, these are the things that I want to try, these are the things I want to explore, and these are my short term goals. Just be prepared with that. If you have that in your mind, and if you have that clarity, and you have like you know about your goals, you will come out much more happily and satisfied that you were able to achieve a lot of these things which you wanted.
Do you think that having an IIT degree helped you in bagging the internship offer?
So I would say a small yes. Having an IIT degree actually helps because it's not just a degree, but if let's suppose if you have been to an IIT, apart from that degree, you would have couple of more achievements. Let's suppose what you would have established a JEE rank. You would have at least got some certificates from the Olympiads, be it NSO, IMO, or something. So uh, you can see that you get a degree of a repute, a very good degree of a repute. Apart from that, you're in your acad section, 3 to 4 points is something that you get to fill just because you went there. It's like your J rank, J mains rank, apart from a couple of more exams, NSO Olympiad, and these things. So these things essentially helps you. Like if they want to see that this person has done well in the acads, being in the IIT, and these 3 4 points actually will help you and will help you get shortlisted as well.
Do you think the MBB, I mean, in your case, especially the Boston Consulting Group, do they give a lot of importance to your profile? क्योंकि हमें every year we see people getting rejected despite a maybe 998 profile B, maybe they get rejected. So do you think
Mhm.
profile, your past academics, everything plays a very important role at even getting a shortlist from the MBB?
I believe so. It's like your profile actually plays an important role for getting a shortlist from these companies. It's not They are not just looking for, let's suppose, someone, a Magoo, who has done a lot of great accounts, but does not have a great, let's suppose, PO or a great WorkX or the great ECA section. They are just trying to look for a more balanced CV. Let's suppose the person has good accounts, that's definitely counts as a spike, but that person should establish that he's doing great job in other section as well. Let's suppose if he is from a tier one company, he has worked in a tier one company before, that counts again as a spike, or he has done something at a national or state level, that again counts as a spike. So what they're looking for is a more balanced CV. So if you have like done exceptionally well in one segment, that may or may not be the best thing that they might be looking for. But if you have done great thing in a couple of segments, good to great thing in a 2 to 3 segment, which they can count as a spike, you more of not will get a shortlist. So I would say, yeah, your profile would matter in that respect, because a good profile would diversify your spikes across these sections and not concentrate it in just one section.
Amit, what kind of questions were asked to you during your BCG interview?
So I had 2 rounds of interview with BCG. Both were partner round, and what those interviews contained was something I wasn't really expecting. They were not looking for case frameworks or all. What they was looking, it's like how I was able to think. And these were, remind you, like these were very short interviews that I had, like for less than 10-15 minutes, each interview, partner interview for 10 or 15 minutes or less. They just gave me a simple problem statement. Okay, your client is, let's suppose they asked me, it's like, pick up your favorite car manufacturing company. I was like, okay, Maruti. And then they was like, you have been tasked to devise a growth strategy, how you're going to do that. Now, what initially I did was like, I was trying to ask preliminary question and try to then bring upon basically a framework. They were like, okay, remove that and throw it out of the window. I just want to, it's like how you're thinking. So what essentially they were like, okay, these are what is growth means for you. It's like, okay, then I defined, okay, for me, whatever the customer is just a function of number of customers that they have and how much they are spending. And then they were like, and then I just had to build, okay, how do I go about increasing the N, or how do I go about increasing the Q? And that's how the case went forward. They just took my framework and they were like, okay, just throw it out of the window. Same for my second round. It's like the partner again gave me a case with this. He was again looking for just how I used to do an initial round of thinking. He wasn't looking, it's like how I'm going to ask all those questions. He was like, okay, I know you would have prepared for this. I just want to understand your thought process. And that's what he was judging me on it. And interview went well. And yeah, that's it.
For your juniors who are appearing for the summer placements this year and are targeting BCG or the MBB firms, so what would be your advice to them on how should they prepare for these interviews?
Start with the initial part, but just don't get stuck in the profitability framework. I have seen a lot of people that, let's suppose, they start doing and they are doing like 30 cases of profitability. I'm like, the essence of it is not whether you are able to, let's suppose, solve profitability cases after that or not. The essence, it's like whether you are able to bring your own synthesis to the frameworks that you have read about. Let's suppose if I give you a question of this time, are you able to relate it, or what have you learned apart from the case frameworks that have been given to you? Try to synthesize upon that. Try to build upon what you have, what extra you can do in this thing, and also try to have some semblance of the industry. Okay, like what kind of questions were asked when I was doing, let's suppose, a case case of this from this industry? What kind of question? What can I draw an analogy between those cases and between some other kind of cases that might come in? So try to have a basically an insight on that. That would be helpful later.
Fast forward to April 2022.
Hmm.
So you are at BCG now. You so what were your key learnings from the 8 week stint at BCG?
So BCG is a very large company. The client that it handles, they are multi-billion-dollar companies. So and also the uh, you are assigned an independent work stream there. So you are completely responsible for that, even as an intern. So the amount of responsibility that is being imposed with you is quite immense. That's something that I have not experienced before. Uh, and this is something that also gives you a kind of confidence. Okay, since you have been entrusted with this responsibility, you are going to do your best and you are going to solve, basically going to solve this problem, whatever it takes. During those 8 weeks, this was something that I learned a lot. It wasn't the PPT making or the Excel skill. I would say, I mean, those are obviously the supplementary, but the uh, problem if given with basically given in front of you, now you have a real opportunity to solve that. How do you go about solving that? And the confidence that it generates inside you when you're able to crack that problem was something that I would believe was one of the best part of my experiences there, and the key learnings for me as well. It's like, because I'm able to carry that confidence later in my life as well. So for me, that definitely remains a key learning for me.
So after 8 weeks at the Boston Consulting Group, आपको PPO भी मिल गया. तो for our viewers,
Okay.
can you just emphasize on the importance of bagging a PPO?
In OB, we have studied BATNA and VATNA, which was like worst alternative to negotiated agreement. Your PPO is actually your VATNA, in my opinion. It's like it's your also your fallback option, and it allows you to take risks. Let's suppose if you have received a PPO and you want to go up at a better, or if you are looking for a better job openings that you might have, that PPO is your fallback option, and that actually allows you to take risk which you might not have taken otherwise, and puts you off in a better position. And also, if you think about from a peace of mind perspective, if you have a PPO, you are much more like in peace during your second year of the entire second year of your college, if compared to someone who does not have a PPO. So that peace is there, and you are able to take a risk which you might not have otherwise taken. I believe those two things are really great to have. So it's very important, in my opinion, if you can score a PPO. Those two things, I believe, it's quite important for me.
Amit, that brings us to the end of the entire conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and it was wonderful talking to you.
Thanks, Debayan. Thanks a lot for hosting me. I mean, it was really nice talking to you, and I'm sure the InsideIIM team would have worked hard to prepare this questionnaire and to do all the work to bring this interview live. Thanks to all the team, and thanks to you for this.